Good morning, folks. Frank Zavilla here, Zora Capital, 2nd of May, 7 o'clock in the morning, doing a quick video in regards to the market, using Investors Business Daily. The market hasn't been doing much. Stocks are not really breaking down, following through. They're not breaking down. They're kind of like just stuck in the middle, not doing much. Just, people call it a chop fest, whatever it is. There's a lot of fits and starts. According to IBD, the market right now is under pressure. The indices remain below the 50-day moving average. It can't get above that average, which is an important institutional average and level where, if you're above, that's somewhat of a short-term, mid-term, line in the sand, and the market is doing well. If it's above, if it's underneath, then you might have some issues. So we're pretty much stuck below the 50-day moving average. Apple came out with the numbers yesterday. They were, somewhat impressive. The stock is acting well in the aftermarket. However, it's not taking the index futures along with it. Index futures are barely up, but Apple is holding up to some decent gains. So very simply, IBD does a great job narrowing down the universe of stocks of roughly 5,000 names to, a select few based on technicals and fundamentals, okay? You get these lists by going over here to stock lists, and you see all their lists: IBD 50, sector leaders, IPO leaders, IBD cap, and over here in the IBD tables, you have my favorite list, which is the top 200 composite stocks, which pretty much has all these names under one list. But either way, there are a few names that are holding up well. A couple of IBD 50 names, Netflix and Palo Alto, which are IBD 50 names and sector leaders that are holding up pretty well. And sector leaders, again, it pretty much it's one of their favorite lists. It's actually, IBD most stringent and powerful screen. Sector leaders highlight the best stocks in IBD's 33 sectors. All sector leaders show outstanding earnings and sales growth in recent quarters and are strong across many other fundamental and price performance metrics. So, story has it that, which is true, that, a bulk of a stock gain comes from its industry, its sector, and these stocks here are in IBD's 33 sectors, the sectors which have shown historically to spit out the biggest winners, okay? Netflix, companies just reported their numbers. The stock is holding up well. I believe Netflix is actionable if and only if it can get through today's highs with a stop right below the 50-day moving average. And one that we've spoken about before is Palo Alto, PANW, which has been holding up pretty well. If you click here, you get a quick snapshot of the company. PANW composite rating of 99. It's the first stock within its computer software security industry right over here. Industry rank number 7, so it's in the top industry. Group rating A+, EPS rating 98, EPS change 37%, last 3 quarters 37%, earnings estimates for this current quarter 57%. For across the board, the name, the fundamentals look phenomenal across the board. And like I said, the stock has been trading sideways for 2.8 years, and it looks ready to break out. The only issue that we have here is, number one, the market is under pressure. Number two, they report their numbers at the end of this month, so that becomes an issue once we get closer to that date. But very simply, let me just show you the chart of PANW. Here's the weekly chart of PANW. Like I said, this thing peaked back in June 2015, and for the most part, no net movement since then, trading sideways. It's been tightening up here for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Very tight closes here. And this is all while the market is pretty much under pressure. As you can see here, the S&P 500, a pattern of lower highs and lower lows, and this stock has been holding up extremely, extremely well. Also, another nice tool for Marcus Smith here, which is an IBD product, is funds and institutions. Like I mentioned before in the previous video, that I might put the link right below this one. Institutions, started here back in June 2016 with 941 funds owned the stock. They were selling slowly but surely, got down to 895, but now they've been accumulating all over again. So, PANW on the daily chart, it looks good. It looks real good. I think that you got to give it some room due to the market. you got to give it a lot of room actually. Maybe a stop all the way down at 185. But I think if it breaks out, I think it's going to go. It's going to be one of these future leaders. Netflix is another one. Just recently came out with their numbers. They came out with the numbers here. Stock gapped up. Retrace. It's back to the 50-day moving average. It looks okay. I think going through today's highs, which is yesterday's highs, which is roughly 313.48. With a stop over here right underneath the 50-day moving average. I think the stock can get back to this 52-week high. The stock has been, acting well. The numbers here, as you can see here below, last 4 quarters earnings change plus 67%, plus 142%, plus 173%, and plus 60%. So their numbers have been phenomenal. Their estimates for next year, 128%, and for 2019 so far, up 61%. I think Netflix looks great. A couple of other names from the IBD 200, COUP. Another stock that's been holding up, well. They don't report until June 5th, but the stock has got a little nice cup and handle here, retesting the 50-day moving average. I like the stock here going through yesterday's highs, which is roughly 47.14 with a stop here at the low of the day, 45.70, give it 45.60. And I didn't get back here to the 50 level. Again, market permitting. I think, due to the fact that the market is under pressure, it's a Fed day today. You have to, size these positions accordingly. Perhaps you don't take your usual size. You take smaller size. Another name that looks interesting to me, MB, Mind Body. Decent numbers as far as revenues. Plus 32%, plus 31%, plus 32%, plus 30%. Earnings per share up, 175%. Estimates for next year, 999%. It's a cloud-based business software and payment platform for the wellness services. So in other words, it's more like one of these fitness apps, amongst other things. But either way, the stock has been holding up extremely well. I think the stock looks good. It looks good to me going through this high, roughly 39.65. I'll put a buy stop at 39.75 with a stop right over here at this low, which is roughly $38. The next one on my list, another IBD 200 name, which is Pure Storage. The weekly chart, the stock has pretty much no net movement since the IPO back in December of 2015. This is a big cup. You can call it a big cup and handle. But either way, the stock has been holding up well. I like the stock going through this IPO high. I think once it gets through this IPO high, which is roughly 2060, I think it's off to the races. And we're close, and the stock is holding up extremely well. I like the stock going through yesterday's highs, which was roughly $20.41. And you can play this one with a stop at roughly $19.40. And as far as earnings are concerned, they're coming out on 5/22. And again, as far as revenues, over 30% across the board for the last 4 quarters, up 30%, up 38%, up 41%, up 48%. And for the first time, they had they actually made money. 13 cents versus -2 for the previous quarter. So either way, here's a quick recap. The market is under pressure. A few stocks that are holding up well: Netflix, PANW, COUP, MB, and PSTG. They all look good to me going through yesterday's highs, if and only if they go to yesterday's highs. In this type of situation, what I would normally do is put a buy stop 10 cents above yesterday's highs. If the market gets me in, great. You get in, you put the stop loss, and the market would do the rest. If the market doesn't get you in, then you're out. There's nothing to do. Just sit back and watch. As far as sizing is concerned, due to the fact that the market is under pressure, you might want to reduce that size and just allow them, just reduce the size, number one, due to the fact the market is under pressure, and also try to give your stop a little bit more room, because so far, like I said, it's been a chop fest. Breakout aren't following through, and stocks are not really breaking down. So trade them well and be well.